All right, Damon, what'd you think? Niners go with the receiver from Florida, Ricky Pearsall at 31. Baltimore took Nate Wiggins in front of them. Buffalo traded from Kansas City to a pick they got from Kansas City to Carolina, and Carolina finished the round with Xavier Legette from South Carolina. What do you think of the Pearsall draft pick?
Well, I mean, unexpected is the only way to properly describe it, right? I mean, his name is not attached to a single mock draft that I have read to any team in any first. And, in the second round, you would see him if you bothered reading a second round, but nobody nationally had the 49ers connected to Ricky Pearsall. Nobody locally had the 49ers connected to Ricky Pearsall. You and I could measure all of our draft conversations, Larry, in days, not hours. We've been talking about the draft for days. We did not use the word or the name Ricky Pearsall once, not once. So it feels like a reach. It absolutely feels like a reach. It doesn't necessarily make sense. I don't think it addresses a major need, or if they needed a wide receiver, I don't know if this is the wide receiver they needed. And having said all of that, Larry, I don't know shit, just this whole exercise proves that nobody knows where the pick could possibly come from, including the team itself. I can't tell you that they got this wrong with any authority, nor can they tell me they got this right with any authority. Not a lot of success out of just about all the wide receivers ever picked in the first round. And if you want to attach the phrase white boy, the success is even harder to find. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about this pick, but that doesn't mean it's not a good pick. Doesn't mean that this won't be a good player. As we've said many times about everyone in this draft, nothing proves you can play NFL football until you get to the NFL. There's no amount of college tape or success that directly translates to this kid is going to work out. So who knows? But it was a surprise. And to pretend anything other than being surprised by this draft pick is to try to lie to an audience.
First of all, he's a good football player. He had more of a second round grade. He's a polished player. He's a football player who, to me, lacks starter. He could be a starter, but he doesn't have the stature, to me, to be a number one receiver. He's more of a complimentary receiver, I think. And I just think that in the first round of the NFL draft, you're going with, I really like him. I really do like him because I did watch Florida, and this guy did make a lot of catches. But you're going with a complimentary receiver.
You liked him so much you didn't talk about him for a millisecond.
Well, I like the polish in the player. But there's all kinds of players we didn't talk about that are damn good players.
He's going to be 24.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
He's polished. He's an older player, but Pearsall is polished. And he's a route runner, and he's tough, and he'll operate in the middle of the field. Now, it's more of a he's like one of those guys that you're not going to love it on draft day, but you're going to love it on game day because he's more effective than anything else. And I was hoping for more of I would have loved Xavier Legette because I see Legette as like an AJ Brown type. And he went one pick later. Malachi Corley, I know, has gotten a lot of pub too as being a player that really could have fit as a Debo replacement if they were moving off of Debo. But the one thing about Pearsall did play in a big time conference and produced and still had really good numbers. And you're talking about, just to, argue his case for him for just 1 second, which I think, we probably should at least throw it out there, what kind of player this guy is. 6'1", 189 pounds, 4.41 speed, pretty fast, pretty tough, great hands, 42-inch vertical. The guy can really jump. That's close to the 90th percentile. Makes plays in the air. He definitely will high point balls and contest them in the air. very quick. May lack some long speed because he only runs 4.41, but he works over the middle. He's not super dynamic or explosive. He's more of a role player type, but with great ball skills and a big catch radius. So, I mean, there's, as I said, he's very effective. Like Puka Nacua is more effective than Sexy as a pick. And I think they were trying to find their Puka Nacua.
I just think that we watched the 49ers lose the Super Bowl because they couldn't beat press man coverage. And every write-up on him says that he's going to struggle against press and man coverage.
Right.
So did the 49ers just get closer to winning a Super Bowl with picking Ricky Pearsall as opposed to solving a secondary problem, which there were players there to solve? I mean, you and I
would have loved Max Melton. A lot of people like Kool-Aid, but I'm not a Kool-Aid guy. But I thought Max Melton was a tremendous player. He's still on the board, of course.
We've talked an awful lot about, Zach Frazier because we didn't think Jackson Powers Johnson would be available. And he is. Two centers that absolutely could have helped the 49ers were right there. And I'm looking at not only, what I think you need, but I'm looking at the teams in your division around you and what it is they're doing. I mean, the Seahawks went D tackle. Byron Murphy might be the best D tackle in this draft. He's going to be playing right over your center who you did not draft or improve upon. You have not improved upon this offensive line. The Rams take Florida State defensive end Jared Verse. That's going to be coming right over the tackle that you did not draft in this draft. The Cardinals had the best first round maybe in football. The Cardinals had walk away with Marvin Harrison Jr., who a lot of people say might be pound for pound the best prospect to be a pro in this draft, followed up by Darius Robinson, the edge out of Mizzou, who a lot of people were making googly eyes at because they thought the 49ers might take him. And, you just got every team in your division got beefier. The Dallas Cowboys, they got Tyler Guyton. The Packers, who you're going to be playing, and maybe in a playoff game, got Jordan Morgan.
I thought that was a terrible pick.
Yeah, I didn't really like that pick either, but the Bucs get Graham Barton, out of Duke. That might be a team you see in the postseason. Everybody got better on the trenches. The 49ers still have offensive line problems, secondary.
What offensive lineman should they have taken?
And they should have taken Zach Frazier, I think. I think they should have taken
I agree. I agree, Frazier. But as far as tackle, there wasn't a tackle there. I'm glad they didn't reach for a tackle. That wouldn't have been the right move.
6 tackles in the first 20 picks. And I mean, this was a
quarterbacks in the top 12. How about that?
6 quarterbacks in the top 12. Dan, not since 83, right? I mean, not since the greatest quarterback draft of all time. The first defensive player on the board didn't come off until 15 when it was Latu to the Colts. There's never been a moment in the NFL where 14 offensive players were selected in a row, not to start a draft, not in the middle of the first round, not in the middle of any round. Nowhere has there ever been 14 offensive players selected in a row. And that's how this draft started. And I guess that's a testament to modern football right now, that all the rules are bent to make your offense go and sing. And again, that brings us back to Ricky Pearsall. Maybe he's going to be the single best wide receiver the 49ers have ever had, not named Jerry something. We'll find out. But it's a surprising pick on its surface and in the moment in which it happened. My jaw nearly hit the goddamn floor.
Danny, what'd you think?
Well, I was surprised at the pick, but the more I looked into it, the more I think about it, I think he's a route runner that gets open. That's the kind of offense Kyle runs. Move the chains, keep moving the ball. Now I think what they're doing, I wouldn't surprise me to see Ayuk dealt. Not Ayuk, excuse me, Debo. I think they're going to hang on to Ayuk. They want route runners. Debo does not get separation. And I'm thinking it's kind of weird how Buffalo traded back twice out of the first round and is now sitting there with the first pick of the second round. Maybe that's a deal the Niners and Bills have in place. Debo goes just straight swap for the first pick of the second round. Josh Allen can use a weapon like Debo, not just because he doesn't replace Diggs as a receiver, but he's kind of that gadget guy. Buffalo needs something a little bit different. And I'm thinking Niners maybe then go after maybe one of the corners, or maybe DeJean, who can play both corner and safety. They're really kind of lacking at free safety right now, the Niners. And DeJean can kind of play both corner and safety. Here's a scouting report. One AFC scout said this about Pearsall. I don't know how fast he is, but he gets open and he's got great hands. Just needs more accurate quarterback. Niners have an accurate quarterback. I think Kyle is looking to have route runners that are open all the time. And now if you've got Pearsall and Ayuk and Jennings, if Debo's gone, and Kittle, pick your poison, because somebody's going to be open. And of course, McCaffrey.
With all due respect, I don't think Debo's going anywhere. He would carry a dead cap number of $42.7 million if they were to let him go before the 2025 year. So I don't think Debo's about to be dealt for shit.
Well, didn't they promise Debo that they weren't going to trade him before, during, or after this year's draft? So I don't know about that.
But they also had Diana Rossini today, and I even went with a little breaking news on this and put up a short that Debo was included in talks trying to move into the top 10. So that's a serious reversal of position that they took publicly on Debo. But to me, the math on Debo just doesn't work. I don't think you're getting rid of a guy who carries a $42.7 million dead cap hit. I just don't see the 49ers doing business.
Yeah, that might be a difficult thing to move him, but I do think the idea of, maybe it's next year when it's not a big cap hit, and maybe they're just getting Pearsall now, because, I think Kyle has watched enough of the Rams offense, guys like Kupp and Puka get open. Now, Puka's more of the physical receiver. Pearsall's not that, but he's kind of more fits into the line of Kupp. He's got to learn, obviously, to separate, get off the line, but he does have great quickness, and his cone time was one of the best in all of the draft. The guy has agility. He can leap. He's got a 42-inch vertical. He's not afraid to go in the middle, get the ball.
How many balls did he catch this year? Do you have his stats?
65, I think, with Florida.
For how many touchdowns?
65 for 965, 4 touchdowns in his senior year last year at Florida, 2 years ago. 33 catches, 661 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he was used a little bit more in his senior year. He played 5 years of college football, 3 at Arizona State and then 2 at Florida. 159 career catches collegiately, better than 2,400 yards and 14 touchdowns, which, is not a bad college career. It isn't. Look, he might be a very good player, but the pick feels like a reach based on all the information that's been in the public domain for the last month. And the fact that, it feels like this is, he might be the right player, but it feels like he absolutely would have been the right player to trade back, get out of that first round, pick up.
That would have been a better way to do it,
and pick him up in the top 3-4 picks of the next round. Because
right, I think they could have done that, because he was probably projected to go in the top 50, somewhere between 40 and 50 in the draft, and so it was a reach to pick him with one. I agree, Damon. I think you could have got more capital by going back 4 or 5 picks. Someone else moves up into that one slot for the 5 years, control, versus 4 with a second round pick.